In Jeremiah chapter 47, the prophet delivers a prophecy against the Philistines, who were one of Israel's longtime enemies. The chapter begins with a message from God, declaring that the Lord will bring destruction upon the Philistine cities, starting with the city of Gaza. The Philistines, who had been known for their rivalry with Israel, are warned of the coming judgment that will be brought by God through the Babylonians. The prophecy reveals that the Philistines will suffer greatly, with the destruction of their cities and the death of their people, as God's judgment is poured out upon them. The chapter also highlights the violence and devastation that the Philistines will experience. Jeremiah paints a picture of terror and anguish, describing the Philistines' hearts being filled with fear at the news of their impending doom. The cities of the Philistines, including Gaza, Ashkelon, and Ekron, will be laid waste, and their warriors will be slain. The Lord's judgment will come like a devastating flood, sweeping away the cities and their inhabitants. Despite their pride and military strength, the Philistines will be powerless to resist God's judgment. Jeremiah speaks of the sword of the Lord, which will bring destruction upon the Philistines and their allies. This sword symbolizes the military force that will come against them, and the chapter makes it clear that their false hope in their gods and their armies will not save them from God's wrath. Even the coastlands, which had been relatively safe from the troubles that affected the inland regions, will feel the effects of God's judgment, showing that no place will be spared from His wrath. The chapter concludes with a picture of God's final purpose for the Philistines. After their destruction, there will be a time of mourning and grief. God will bring judgment not only for the Philistines' past actions against Israel but also for their wickedness and idolatry. Yet, despite the certainty of judgment, the Lord also hints at His eventual plan for restoration for His people, Israel, who will eventually rise above their enemies and be restored to their place in God's promise. The prophecy against the Philistines serves as both a warning to those who oppose God's people and a reminder of His sovereign rule over all nations. Let's now read Jeremiah chapter 47. The word of the Lord that came to Jeremiah the prophet against the Philistines, before that Pharaoh smote Gaza. Thus saith the Lord, Behold, waters rise up out of the north, and shall be an overflowing flood, and shall overflow the land, and all that is therein, the city, and them that dwell therein. Then the men shall cry, and all the inhabitants of the land shall howl. At the noise of the stamping of the hoofs of his strong horses, at the rushing of his chariots, and at the rumbling of his wheels, the fathers shall not look back to their children for feebleness of hands. Because of the day that cometh to spoil all the Philistines, and to cut off from Tyrus and Zidon every helper that remaineth, for the Lord will spoil the Philistines, the remnant of the country of Caphtor. Baldness is come upon Gaza, Ashkelon is cut off with the remnant of their valley. How long wilt thou cut thyself? O thou sword of the Lord, how long will it be ere thou be quiet? Put up thyself into thy scabbard, rest, and be still. How can it be quiet, seeing the Lord hath given it a charge against Ashkelon, and against the sea shore? There hath He appointed it. This ends our reading of Jeremiah chapter 47.